Hi, welcome to Two Non-Doctors. I'm Liz Mealy.
I'm Maria Shahada.
How you doing, Muffin?
I'm okay. I had to spend a long time on the phone with my internet provider because of like, how
Fun.
like we keep cutting out and they were like, we'll
Yeah.
give you our biggest boosted package for what you're paying now. I was like, okay, okay. I was like, I'll try it. And it still doesn't work. But I don't know. I think I have to buy a Wi-Fi extender or something. But if we cut out, I apologize. I'm getting the extender tomorrow. I hope it works. But sorry everybody for how annoying it's been.
It does make me laugh though that so my Google is like one of those things where like my mind expanded and I was like, I don't want to fucking have to know this. And why am I learning this now? But I do, that is what I love about our brains, where it's just like, this is bothering me. So I'm going to know so much that when I'm on the phone, I'll be like, yes, that's what you should do, but you shouldn't do that because of the da 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 da, like, you know what I mean? And just be that annoying. Like,
That,
I read 16 articles,
that
so
should have
maybe
been the
come
name
up.
of our podcast. Why am I learning this now?
And I'm grateful for the internet. Like, I'm so happy that I have the resources to be an annoying know-it-all. And it makes me, clearly it's like anxiety and like a need to have some kind of control, because it's always somebody that tells you no. And then you're like, wrong answer. I'm going to tell you why the answer should be yes. There's 16 articles. I was, so I just got a bookshelf. So I've been going through my books and I've been organizing based on topic. And I have 4 books on negotiation. And really it should just be like the books for Karens that want to be less
Are
Karen-y.
all the books
Like
on negotiation by like old CIA agents who don't work there anymore but are now giving away all the secrets?
a little bit. They're not all that, but it's like, it is like not finance bros, but like bros that are like, how to always get them to say yes. It's almost like how I'm so worried this cat's gonna cry. It's almost how you know how there's all those like books on dating for men where like you should nag her, make sure she feels like shit, and then she'll sleep with you. It's a little bit like negotiation, how to get your $10 back from the parking guy. Like
Yeah.
it's just like it's just like tricks and stuff. But like this is the thing, is like I take everything with a grain of salt. So it's like these negotiation books have been really helpful to me, but at the same time there are like tactics where I'm just like, I'm just not going to do that. Like I just, when I'm in the right, I just want justice.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the wrong, it's not the like how to fucking annoy people so much you get your way anyway. Like I don't want that. Like, so it's just like, and I feel like I use my powers so innocently. It's, you know what I mean? It's almost like I, when I first moved to my apartment, I was having all these issues with like UPS and FedEx, and it's just me being like, Brian, it's Brian, right? You can understand why I'm frustrated, right, Brian? Because if you had paid $200 for something and then it just never arrives, you'd feel disappointed, right?
And he's like,
Right, Brian?
yeah.
Yeah. And you get them off script because they're supposed to read a script, and you go, I get that you didn't do it. I get that this is just a job to you. I'm totally understanding. I'm just feeling like I don't have any resources. So could you tell me what some of the resources are, or could you explain to me why this is somehow my fault? You know what I mean? And you start like breaking it down. But like, even so, like, and you know how like emotional or like frustrated I can get, not all the times because I have lost my cool, but like I can like refocus, talk to them as a human, have them talk to me as a human, and actually get something done, as opposed to, I think some people go into like this, like, I'm right, they should know I'm right. And you're like, that's not the point of this interaction. The point of this interaction is to show that I'm human, to know that they're human, and to fucking come to a realistic and thoughtful conclusion of whatever has just happened.
Right. Like that New Yorker that I said when we landed in Heathrow after all of our luggage had been lost and she was ahead of me in line and she was trying to talk to Londoners who don't give a shit about her or customer service about how she's owed the
Fuck, fuck, fuck.
world.
Sorry. Hold on a second.
No, she was just like, this is unacceptable. And like, you should like, how are you? Like, she's just basically like trying to get them to make it up to her. But by going about it by just yelling about how she's owed the world. And they were like, we're really sorry. This is an inconvenience.
Also, that's everyone's perspective. This is my stuff. You've lost my stuff. What about me?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, dude, you're one of a million people this has happened to, and this is all they hear all day. Wouldn't it be nice if you went up to them and you'd be like, I'm sure this is what you go through every day. I'm so sorry. I have a meeting. I don't have pants.
Yeah.
I now understand why people wear full-blown suits on the plane, and I look like I'm about to go to a slumber party, and I'm a little concerned.
And they're
Is
like,
there
we're so sorry. Here, let me give you my pants. I don't know what else.
yeah. They're just like, oh my God. She looked us in the eye and she addressed us as humans. But it's like, learning to be like, because I think people forget that. They're just like yelling, and they're yelling at Delta, but you're not yelling at Delta. You're yelling at Sarah. And Sarah's just another person. And Sarah is having the worst day every day. And she does not know why this is the job she chose. Like, you know what I mean? Like and I think more and more, don't get me wrong, I misstepped a million times and I still have bad days, but I would say like 8 out of 9, 10 times I can kind of connect. And like, I remember I had an issue with something I bought and I didn't realize until it was like kind of too late. And I was just like, hey, I know I'm in the wrong. I definitely should have done it X, Y, and Z times. What are my options? If I have to just eat the cost, I eat the cost. I know it. And I just kept putting it on myself. And I was like, I'm mostly just calling to see if there's anything. And she goes, she's like, we don't always do this, but let me figure this out. Like, you know what I mean? And like putting a lot of it like on like just, and some of that is just how I talk in general, which is like, I'm an idiot. Like I went on a date months ago and I didn't think I realized, I was like, well, I'm an idiot. And he was like, hey, you got to stop calling yourself an idiot. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's probably true. I was like, I don't feel that way, even though I know I've said it. But like in general, I'm like a very self-deprecating person. And I don't think I'm an idiot, but it's just like, that's how I talk. And I've realized there's a way to actually do that in a humble way of not like I'm an idiot, but like I am taking responsibility for the fact that some of this is on me. Is there any way that you can either make me feel better or fix this? But if not, I totally get it because this is my problem.
It's so funny how like you can just be a certain way forever. And then somebody who's never met you is like, Jesus. And you're like, all right, it's just who I am. It's just the way you say like, go fuck yourself. Remember when you were in London, you were just like, go fuck yourself. And it was just like, I just feel like here, it just feels like, wow. Okay. And you're just saying hello.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It wasn't wrong. Like I probably shouldn't about myself that way, but I think with enough therapy and I do feel like I have self-esteem now that it's more funny to me and more relaxing the way I say an idiot, as opposed to it's a word as opposed to it used to be a feeling, which is like I would drop something and you'd be like, you fucking idiot. Like, and now it's just like, well, I'm an idiot. I don't know how to spell, but I don't feel that way. I know I'm dyslexic. I know I do the best I can. And I know it doesn't represent my intelligence, but I don't know if I've changed my language to represent how I feel because I'm in comedy and we're just exaggerating weirdos that say stuff we don't mean. Liars.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's also like a safety, like we'll give advice, but we're idiots. So
yes, exactly.
But here's what we think. We're idiots though. That's on you if you take it.
But the same way with giving talking about anything, especially if I don't know somebody, like I say it and I blabble on too much and it is what it is, but there's some grain of knowledge in there and you'll find it. But with other people, I'm like, you stopped listening, didn't you? Sorry. sorry.
Yeah. I guess since editing this podcast, I've stopped. I don't actually like edit much of what you say that's actual, besides ums and uhs and long pauses and stuff. But I think when we first started, I would take out huge chunks of shit. I would just feel like that was all unnecessary for the point. And I would make those calls, but like I just I don't know if it's that I got lazier or I just don't have as much time, but it's like, it's fine. Just let her talk.
It's my charm. Right, yeah. Maria?
Yes. Very charmed.
I'm so sad you have to listen to this twice. That must be really hard for you. I start talking to you like a human. That must be really difficult. I mean, you have to listen to this
Thank you
twice.
for understanding. It's just that I spent so long on these, and somebody was like, "Don't edit out Tot." So I was like, "I'm not gonna edit out the cat. That's like the best part of what we do."
Okay, it's the highlight. The highlight. I don't know where he is. Announcements.
He just flies by. Ah! It's like,
It's
yeah,
pretty much what he does, by the way.
I know.
Like, just insanity.
You were talking to me before we started. It was just he was just crawling on your shoulders, as if to say. It was like his head was down, as if he was like feeding you what to say.
No, it was. He was like right in my earbuds, like you were telling me a story, and he was just like, "Tell her her hair looks nice." That's not the point right now. Like I almost feel like a boyfriend that's just like, "Oh, tell Maria I say hi." I will, but we're in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah.
Tell Maria I miss her. Yeah, we know.
Oh, I miss him.
He's like, "Where's Maria? Where's her ramen?"
I know.
Announcements.
Mm.
Thank you to all our patrons, everybody that supports us. We appreciate you. If you don't know, you can get early access to episodes. You can get weekly bonus episodes. You can get monthly bonus episodes. You can get stickers. You can control our Googles. You could be a Google guest. There's so many lovely benefits to supporting our podcast. And you could do that at patreon.com/2nondoctors, full word doctors.
Right. And you can follow us on the socials. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at 2non-doctors, the number 2 full word doctors, or Instagram at 2non-DRS. And if you have time and you're feeling nice, please leave us a rate and review on Apple Podcasts and a rating on Spotify now, because it helps us out a lot. We feel great. We share it on our socials, and makes our day. Thanks to everyone who's left comments and reviews so far.
Yeah, we love them, and it's helpful. And then personal announcements. I think this will come out before my California dates. I'm in LA, I'm in Oxnard, I'm in Irvine, all at the end of January. And then February, I'm in Raleigh and Charlotte. Then I think April, I'm in Michigan. I have a bunch of cities in Michigan, Boston, Atlanta late in the summer. But most of my dates are on my website right now, and I'm still adding stuff.
And I realized that I didn't want to post dates just in case like a new wave happened and we got locked down. I didn't want to jinx it, but it was also laziness.
I'm proud of you for admitting
mostly
that.
London. Yeah.
And then I'm holding off. I'm hopefully going to still come to the overseas, but I'm basically waiting to find out in the next week or so if that's going to happen. So I will update you guys. Fan mail.
So this email is from Paul, and he writes to us about genetics. Because we did about an episode about living to over 100. My maternal grandfather died in his late 80s. He was a chain smoker, smoked 3 packs a day, never had a heart healthy diet. Don't remember him drinking anything but beer. And then he talks about his dad living until 92. Not surprisingly, it's genetics. As a result, it's difficult to find common external elements among those that survive that long. If you find a community that generally lives longer, it's genetics. Certainly better food, better healthcare, better family care. We all contribute. You might also find that increasing number of older folks at this point is related to the decrease in infant deaths in the last 100 years. Better aging genetics won't help you much if you die before you're 5 years old. A different question, why strive to live that long? A few people may get that old and be partially functional, but most people after 80 lose so much functionality that living longer isn't all that attractive. My dad was a strong, active man physically and mentally until he hit his early 80s. He couldn't even work on his stamp collection after that. He functioned well enough to take care of himself with a little help, but mostly he sat all day and watched the birds at his bird feeder. At the end, he was just waiting to die. Such a cheerful subject, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that I think genetics has a lot to do with it. I think you can take your genetics. So the way I always understood genetics is that it's a switch on and off. So my family is predisposed to mental illness, but that doesn't mean I'm going to become mentally ill. It means depending on how I live my lifestyle and the stuff that happened to me can either turn that genetic switch of mental illness on or keep it off. So, not to say that's completely in your control, but there is some things that you can do to kind of nurture your health or whatever. Same thing with heart disease or what have you. So if you are genetically disposed to living a lot longer, let's just say until you're in your 90s or 100, you could be somebody that is risk taking, you know what I mean, doing crazy shit, or just living an unhealthy life, and that might hinder it, or it might not have much of an effect because I guess your genetics are that strong. But like in general, I do agree that, and that's what I kind of liked about our subject, is that, you know, there's some woman telling you you need to do this exact thing at this exact time, and you're like, how the fuck do you know that that was the thing? You know what I mean? Like, who's to tell you that that was the thing, that that's the thing that like, you're just making it up, like it's just an assumption. And then I also fucking agree, I don't want to live to 100. I mean, I just don't. And you hear it enough that my mom always says it, like she doesn't want to be a burden. My mom wanted to get the tattoo, do not resuscitate, which, like, whenever there have been some stuff in the news and some legal things about people having tattoos that say do not resuscitate, and then somebody goes and they read it and they're like, am I supposed to do my job or read this man's chest? And like there's this whole like debate or whatever. But like my mom is just kind of saying, if I'm going to be a vegetable, that's a burden on you, and that's not fun for me. What are we doing just to say that I'm alive? And I don't know if that perspective comes from, she's put many, many cats out of their misery. And you know, you're watching something suffer, and that's horrific. And then something is also suffering. But in general, I think my mom is kind of the one that planted in my head, like, what's a life if you can't fully function on your own, or if you make other people's lives worse?
I can't believe that a do not resuscitate tattoo would even give anyone a dilemma. I feel like that's not a legal document. Couldn't you just sign something that says that instead of having a tattoo that says that?
I know, but how often do you have your paperwork on you when you're having a heart attack? Like, you know what I mean? But you're right. I mean, people have Eeyore on their chest. So it's like, what are you just going to be like?
I got that tattoo when I was super sad. I'm not sad anymore. Resuscitate.
I'm more a piglet, really. It's like scratched out with like a knife.
Please save.
I just didn't have the money to, you can't erase these. It's like $10 to put it on, $2,000 to take it off, right,
and then
guys?
You don't win the lottery. You're like crossing that out. You're like, just don't fucking fall.
But no, I completely agree. I think this is an aggressive thing to say. I think it's out of fear. We don't know what's on the other side. So you want to live as long as possible, because what is nothing? What is the next chapter? But the truth of the matter is I think we all struggle with the idea of, who am I if I can't do what I want to do and have autonomy? Like, I don't know. My grandfather, not that we're close, but my grandfather is really, really sick. It seems like it's going to be pretty soon. But my dad will update me on how he's doing. And I'm like, and he didn't want to go to the hospital. He was like pretty much not eating, not drinking, just wouldn't go to the hospital. And my dad's like, we're trying to get him to go to the hospital. And I was like, it doesn't sound like he wants to do this anymore. Like, and you can't force somebody that's cognitively telling you no. And I get if they're a baby, but my grandfather's in his late 80s and he's saying he doesn't want to do it. He eventually went, but like, you know, it's hard. And then of course it's my dad's father. So you don't want to be like, you know, let it go, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like you clearly have to be sensitive, but it's like, that's where it's like hard, where it's like, I don't disagree with my grandfather. If he doesn't want to prolong this because you're going to give him fluids or force feed him or whatever, that's his choice. He doesn't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, but what if he didn't put up a fight? What if he's like, okay, wouldn't you be like, well, I mean, you could fight me a little on that. I would expect to be taught a little on that.
Oh yeah. No, you fight for a little, but then if my grandfather doesn't want to do it, he doesn't want to do it. Like, but I also get like, it's made me think about my own parents, and I know my mom's going to probably give me some trouble, and I'm going to have to be like, I want what she wants, but I don't want her to go,
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you for the email.
Thanks, Paul. We just start crying. I'm like, give me a second. I gotta call my mom. The amount of times I've told so many people, I'm just like, hey, don't die. Cool. Glad we had this conversation. Can't handle it emotionally. Thanks so much. Googles.
Yes, just real quick.
Yeah.
Will you watch your hair because it's rubbing against the microphone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it never stays, but cool. Okay. Yeah. Googles.
Googles. Can I go first?
Yeah.
Really fucked with my head.
Oh.
It's gonna sound weird. You're gonna be like, why did this fuck with your head? But it almost kind of goes back to what we just talked about. And I'll explain. Is burning wood bad for your health? I have a fireplace. Never had a fireplace. I've lived in New York City forever. It's very exciting. Got it cleaned, got it inspected. There was a little bit of like, I put my TV over the fireplace, and then there was a little bit like it might ruin the TV. And I was like, how? Like the whole point. And I was like, so I didn't use it for a while. And then it's like crazy cold here in New York. So I was like, I'm going to figure it out. The last tenant left like Duralogs or whatever. So I tried that, kind of cool. But then I was like, I know how to make a fire. I'm going to go get firewood. So I went to Home Depot and I got firewood. Anyway, very excited about this fireplace. First night, I'm sitting next to it with Tots. We're like playing in front of it. And I go to bed and my throat, like I start coughing. And of course, and of course with COVID, I was like, oh no, I've caught COVID. But it took me a second, but it felt like something was in my throat. So I was just like, I think I sat too close to the fireplace. I got a little too excited about my new toy. Lesson learned. Then a couple days go by, I do another fire, and I wake up with a really bad sore throat. And I was like, fuck, oh my God, I have COVID, da, 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 da. So I tested. It says I don't, I'm still going to test again because, you know, everything that's going on. But I've just noticed in the last week, as I've made like 4 fires, that my throat has been weird. So I look this up, and it's like, not great. It's not great. Like I thought it'd be like, it's, you know, it's not great, but you know, don't worry about it. It says worry about it.
Worry about it.
It says worry about it. It's like worry about it. I read like so many articles to the point where I was like, focus, Liz, like you have more to do. Smoke from wood contains fine particles known as fine particle pollution. These particles can injure the lungs, blood vessels, and the heart. The components of wood smoke and cigarette smoke are quite similar, and many of both are carcinogenic. EPA research estimate that the lifetime cancer risk from wood smoke to be 12 times greater than from similar amount of cigarette smoke.
Oh, dude.
What? So my dad loves making a fire. So not only did like my dad like he growing up and made fires and told all these stories, chopping firewood, like my dad's whole life, he's just a lumberjack in my mind. He's just wearing plaid, chopping wood. Even today, my dad's in a car. He sees like a tree down and he was like, I'll come back for that. Like we just joke about how much my dad's like looking at trees, talking about trees. My dad just drove to New Jersey to cut up someone's tree to get free firewood. My dad's in a constant state of getting free firewood. Always making a fire. I'll be like, Dad, it's cold. He's like, I'll make a fire. I go, yeah, but I'm in my room and there's no fire there. Why are we just so concerned about heating this one room with fire? I don't understand. They're constantly making fires. And all of a sudden I was just like, is my dad gonna like die of lung cancer? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't know. And I don't know if that's like, if it's going up in the chimney and you're far away from your fireplace, like if I'm on my couch, it's not a big deal, because why is it that somebody that's breathing in fire like a cigarette has the same thing as me? So I don't know, like we'll do bonfires. It's like a tradition with me and my friends. We do a big bonfire for 4th of July, and that you're kind of closer to, not super close, but it's like outside. I just don't understand completely, even with everything I read, why this is equally as bad as cigarette smoking and how close you have to be or how often you have to do it.
And why isn't it more known? Like, why isn't that like, oh, you don't want to have a fireplace because you'll die of lung cancer. Like it's worse than cigarettes. Like you would think that would be something people talked about more.
And that's the thing is like, are they talking about something that doesn't have the right ventilation? But if all the smoke is going up, like I can understand maybe I shouldn't have sat next to my fire.
How close were you?
Okay, so you know there's like the little grate.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting like maybe like a foot away from it.
Okay.
I was cold. Me and Tots were cold.
Okay. And you have heating.
I do, but I actually emailed my dad. I was like, don't feel warm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really cool. It's really cold, so it's not able to get to what it was before.
Okay. That's so strange. And
Yeah.
that's really sad because I mean, I was really excited about that fireplace. I was
Oh,
like,
me too.
spend a winter here just for
Yeah.
that, not you.
No, that's valid, totally valid. And I honestly, we welcome you.
Yeah.
But I am gonna like call my dad and be like, you know everything. Why are you not worried about this? Because I know my dad, I'm gonna like follow up on this one. I know my dad's gonna be like, well, da 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 da. Or my dad would be like, there's two forms of my dad. There's my dad that like will like explain everything to me, and I'll be like, oh duh, duh. Like, this is why you can't trust the internet. Or he'll be like, no. And I'll be like, oh, my dad's gonna die. my dad's also really stubborn and like just lives in his own world. But I don't know, it just kind of freaked me out.
You ever notice that after just bonfires that you have like a sore throat?
No.
I'm wondering if it's just the ventilation in your place. Like maybe it's been inspected, but maybe it's just not ventilated.
Yeah, and we're talking about, I mean, it's a very small fireplace, and it's like this kind of shaft thing that you open, and it's just like a hole. And I would say it's about maybe like 1.5 feet. Like it's very small. So I don't know.
Fireplaces, there was something about fireplaces in London, like there's a reason you can't burn a certain kind of fire. I can't remember what it is, but just for pollution. But I guess now wouldn't be the time to look it up. I'm sure.
What did you Google?
Sorry,
I love the pre-smile, which is going to be like,
it's so different than yours. Is why does the black beans and black bean sauce not taste like black beans?
I just like how like we've Googled everything at this point that we're just like, why don't I like black beans today?
Okay, because when you get like in Chinese food, you get like chicken and black bean sauce or something. Mm-hmm. That I'm like, that tastes totally different than black beans because it has like a kind of a pungentness to it. So I looked it up, and they're not actually black beans; they're black soybeans, and they're fermented. Soybean? I didn't know they were fermented. That's where the funkiness is coming. I like the funkiness. It's like sort of got this like cheesy umami-ness to it. But I was like, but why? Because when you have black beans, there isn't that flavor at all. But it's just not. It's two totally different beans. Blew my
black
mind.
Soybeans, is that, where do you get that? Like, what is that?
I think they're just fermented soybeans. So I think it just turns black from the fermentation process.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Delicious though.
That's how they get you.
That's it.
Yeah, I like it. No, it's very simple. Guys, if I'm just wrong. It's not really black beans, or it's a misleading label.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not Tex-Mex.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder if that's what is known as black beans there, and we have our own definition of black beans. Like, it's not.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's just all it is. It's like these beans are black. And I'm like, yeah, but black beans are like black beans. And they're like, these are black beans. And I'm like, yeah, but they're not.
Yeah.
Black beans are black beans. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. These already have a name, and they're called soybeans. So maybe this is black soybean sauce. Black soybean sauce.
Yeah. So I'll have a talk with somebody somewhere.
Okay.
Some association for Chinese food restaurants.
Perfect. I'm glad. I think we've really done something here. We're going to send out a petition, and we'll fix this for everybody. We know we've all been upset. We know you're all hurting right now. Let's get personal.
Yeah. Let's get away from these bean conversations as fast as possible.
What are some things you've had to unlearn?
Like, well, God, Jesus, like coming over here and then just unlearning that. Unlearn. I don't know. You go first.
Over explaining or like justifying my excuses. So like if I showed up late to this, this Zoom thing, I'd be like, oh, my friend called me and she canceled on me. And then I set my alarm, but it like, instead of just being like, hey, I'm so sorry I'm late, let's get started. like having to justify and like, and I've now learned it's a trauma response to over explain yourself. But like, I see myself, I'll write a text, somebody that doesn't even need an explanation. Like maybe for a friend, it's like helpful and, you know, it's a sign of respect, but it's really like this, like you're at a cash register and like, you didn't get you know, those people that like tell you stories that you don't need to hear. So like you're holding too many things at the grocery store and you don't have a basket and you're just like, I was just here to get one thing. And then, you know, I just had to get peanut butter. And the next thing so I had a really bad day today. And you're like talking to a stranger, you're like, what are you doing? Just fucking buy your peanut butter. Like, what are we doing here? But like that, I see it in my dad. I see it in myself. I see it in my sister. Like, I don't need to tell everybody everything that's going on. It's none of their business. Hey, sorry, I'm just getting back to you. Anyway, like, you don't need to give excuses. It's none of anybody's goddamn business. Most people don't care. Just fucking go. But like, that took me a really long time.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had to unlearn that my perspective isn't necessarily as things are.
Yeah.
Those perspectives are totally like even, okay, so coming over here and then you kind of grow up being told that America is the greatest country on earth and you just sort of go, yeah, everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah. and then you find out that no. I don't even know who won World War II because I thought it was America. Then my Russian friend was like Russia at the same time I said America. And I was like, and perspectives is everything. And just like the stories you tell yourself or what you've been told, like just it doesn't always hold up. And like somebody was telling me about like she had people over for Christmas and her ex-husband's girlfriend thought they were still sleeping together. And she was like, what? Like, we're not. She woke up in the middle of the night to get a drink. And then she hears the girlfriend go, and like, she totally thought she was coming from her ex-husband's room. Like the woman woke up thinking they had just like shagged. Hi, I don't know who I am. But okay, my point is, right, is that she already believed that they were sleeping together. So anything that happened after that was just proof. So because of her perspective, like your perspective will fuck you, you know?
Oh, 100%. And the fact that two people can have the same exact experience. We can both cross the street and I could be like, I almost got hit by a car. And you could be like, nothing happened. But because of either trauma or sounds or where I was looking and where you were looking, like it's all, and that's why you start to realize that like when someone says something to you, when someone does something, it's their entire past coming forward.
Yeah.
So when somebody's like, that's the meanest thing anybody's ever said to me. And you're like, I just asked you to move.
Yeah.
Why are we being dramatic?
You said I like bananas. What?
Yeah. But this entire person's past is coming up and it might've been the meanest thing anybody's ever said. And it could have been the most inconsequential thing that you've ever said.
Yeah.
And you can both be right.
Yeah. And you kind of get that in text too, where like tone isn't there. And so like everything's coloring the way you read a text. It's like that Key and Peele sketch where like, have you seen that sketch where they're texting back and forth and someone's taking what they're saying as fighting words when they're actually being like really kind and they're like,
I don't think I have
shit on the other end of it. It's so funny. But yeah, I mean, like without tone and like seeing, like you just put your perspective onto it. It's like, why'd you say it like that? And you're like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, I think I still learn that and I still have to, and I've always said I have piss color glasses. So I always interpret things as people not liking me, people attacking me, people pushing me away. So that sometimes I'll read something and I'll be so angry. Like I'll read it and I'll be like, fuck them. And then I'll read it a second time and I'll be like, still angry, but I'm not sure if I should be angry. Yes. And then I'll show you the email or I'll show Carmen and they'll be like, oh, it was really nice. And I go, how'd you get nice?
I've had the same experience. Although I was right. Cause I was like, I think it was a past agent. I was like, I think my agent hates me. Like I can't, like, I feel like they're pulling away or something. And then I showed it to somebody and she was like, not at all. Like, this is fine. And I was like, is it? And then you go, I can't trust myself. She's like, just call him. And, I called him and we had a nice conversation. But a month later,
Yeah.
he dropped me. And so I wasn't wrong. But
Yeah.
but sometimes you are wrong. And then you have to go, okay, I totally misinterpreted that. And like other people will be like, you need to chill.
Yeah. And that's also hard because I think another part of us is we're very sensitive people that are very observant and take in a lot. So there are some times where you really are seeing things that other people don't see. But I think text is a good example of where you're just like, am I seeing stuff I don't see? Am I reading stuff? Or am I so concerned that I'm putting past experiences onto this email to protect myself?
Yes. Yeah. And then the other thing is like not getting a response right away or not getting a response or something is like, they must hate me. And then I've really had to like tell myself like, it doesn't mean anything. They could just be busy. And half the time it's fine.
Beating myself up for every misdeed I've done, for everything I didn't do I still struggle with it, especially on a bad day. I can really tell when I'm tired because I'm like, fucking Liz. And then I'm like, ooh, grumpy. Someone's grumpy. But like in general, like my inner dialogue for years was like, you're a fuck up, you're a fuck up, you're a fuck up, you're a fuck up. And now I've really had to unlearn that and just realize that that's A, unhelpful, B, untrue, but just, all right, you messed up. Everybody messes up. It's not that big of a deal. And like that, not to say it's gone all the time, but I would say like 75% better in the sense that like anywhere from like dropping something and spilling something to making a huge mistake and being like, all right, didn't handle that well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, I mean, talk about a better way of life. But that was, I mean, that's at least 5 years of therapy.
Yeah, that takes a while.
But yeah. To even just to be able to drop something and not fucking hate myself is like, ooh, thanks. Thousands of dollars.
Paid off.
We did it. I can drop stuff now. All right, topic. I'm very interested in, because like, okay, so our topic is Feng Shui. It's weird. I've been thinking about it because of moving, and I put things where I think they should go because we live in little tiny boxes being in cities and you don't have many choices. So when somebody's like, you should put it over here, and you're like, there's a door there and there's a window there and there's no other, you got one wall, pick the wall. That's where the bed goes. Yeah. There's no like the air flows and da 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 da.
Oh, 100%. I was reading these articles like, go fuck yourself. Like, there's no way. This is for rich people.
Exactly.
Like, I cannot do anything with this fucking place. Like,
or just the fact that like, you know, what I'm learning about my place is all my ceilings and walls are uneven. So it's just like, anytime anybody's helped me with something, they're just like, well, I tried doing this, but the wall's uneven, or doing this and this. And you're just like, all right, well, do the best you can. Like, I can't, like, I'm not going to reconstruct my apartment. So what are we doing here?
Yeah. I don't want my bed over here, but like, cause I can't really see out the window and I have a huge window. I'd love to be able to look at it, but there's no option. Cause then the radiator's over here. And then there's like indents on both sides of this wall. So unless it's jettisoning out in the middle, which takes up all the space, I can't, I'm like, so it has to be over here. And I'm sorry that it's not diagonal from the door with a clear path going through. It just can't be. It just isn't. Yeah.
But it's like, why? Like, I understand Feng Shui has, so basically they say it's a Chinese system of harmonizing everyone with the surroundings of their environment. I'm glad we're harmonizing, but there's a part of me that's like, the people that built it should have thought about harmonizing. Like, you know, it's like when somebody's like, you're trying to fix something, but you're too far down the line. Like, you know, if the car's not starting, maybe it's because I didn't put gas in it. Or it's because some guy put a part somewhere that it doesn't belong. And that's how I feel every time someone's just like, well, what's the flow of your environment? I don't know. Somebody put weird brick on my wall and it doesn't hold anything because it's like made of sand for some reason. Like, you just start to feel like, shouldn't this start from the top, which is when it's made? Like, shouldn't it naturally be made with a flowiness of energy?
Yeah, 100%. But
also, I don't think putting a bed in a certain place can fix this energy. I think is what I'm realizing.
No,
that's, you know what I mean?
Huh? That's on you. That's
that's what I'm saying. Is
everything.
Yeah, or like I put a mirror and I'm just like, oh, I do feel calmer. I see it now.
reading in on this topic. Okay. It's so involved and it's so complicated. And I didn't think it was going to be. I thought it would just be like, put your couch over here and then like, you know, maybe some bamboo. I honestly thought it would be so easy. And it's got a lot of stuff I didn't understand. And I'll be honest, I gave up. I was like, well, I can't. But
I gave up too.
did you?
I did. That makes me feel so much better. I'm like writing all this stuff down and I'm just like, okay, so the water is the comet, which is yellow. Like I'm like writing all this shit down. And then I was like, dude, and what's so funny about it is like clearly us knowing about it. When I started hearing about Feng Shui, I think maybe I was in high school and then a little bit in college, but like the same way we talk about karma, we just whitewash this and water it down to the point where it's just like, make sure your bed is by a window or something. I'm just making that up. But like, you just find like 4 things and you're like, that's Feng Shui, because the truth of the matter is it's so fucking complicated. Like when we were talking about Chinese medicine, when we first started doing the podcast, that I was like, it's so difficult to be Chinese. This is tough. It's a lot.
We basically tried to get like an 8-year degree into like a half an hour podcast. Like we got this. Okay. So, but, I don't know if Chinese medicine's an 8-year degree. I was basing that off of Western medicine.
Yeah.
Which is still crazy, like considering how complicated medicine is in general, that it's only 8 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, but I did find a website that had like some practical tips, you know, like the flow of the energy, like apparently energy's like roadrunner fast. Like it's super fucking fast. And you got to stop it and slow it down and like kind of get it to go that way.
Yeah.
Around your head. Like,
put the armoire over here and that'll redirect the energy so it goes to the right. And you're like, yes, to the right. Like,
yeah. Cause that's just flying. So like if your front door and your back door are like, when you walk in, you can see your back door just like out the door. So you got to stop it with some pattern rugs. Or a bottom heavy like painting that kind of like has some depth and some heaviness to it. And so the energy is like, what? And then it goes like, it gets distracted by the art on your wall.
Yeah, no, the energy takes a moment, reflects on this painting. Yeah. And then you close the door as quickly as possible.
Yeah. I'll be honest. The energy in my house, like when you do open the door, the first thing you're looking at is a wall. Like you have to turn left to go down the hallway. And I really do think that like Feng Shui, I think that like fucks with me, because it is just like, it's almost like the energy is like, yeah, and like just falls to the ground.
So I think in general, we kind of understand windows and sunlight have an effect on us, especially knowing you for as long as I have. Like I've never heard somebody talk about light and windows so much in my God. I didn't even think I cared, to the point where I actually think if I never met you, I wouldn't care. But sometimes I'll like go into a hotel room or even in my own place and I'll be like, the light in here. And I'm like, I've never thought that. I never thought that.
When you, in your last place, you had no fucking light, no natural light in your room. And then this place, it's still kind of covered. And I remember in the morning, I lifted like the thing in your living room like a little bit just to get some natural light in, and then just by later that day it was down again. I was like, all right. I know it's because like the street is there and you don't necessarily want, I don't think people can see into your place, but like I was come on.
I know I'm crazy. I know. But I'm getting better, and you'll be proud of me. The first thing I do every morning, I mean, I have to keep these down just because this casts a light on me, but I lift I bring you know, I lift sunlight.
I'm like curtains wide open. It's a beautiful day. Like, you know, when I say with Johnny, like Johnny's not like, Johnny keeps the curtains closed, but he sleeps later than I do. I don't know what it is, but I like, once I'm up, I want light. I want beautiful sunlight all day.
Yeah, no, you're like sound amusing it all over my apartment. It's like the hills are a lot. And I'm just like, dude, it's heaven. You shouldn't be allowed to have coffee
in my hand.
You've turned my drapes into dresses. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? It's been an hour.
All the neighborhoods, like woodland creatures, are like carrying it. They like drape you with a scarf.
Tots is sewing in the corner. I'm like, what is
now I have like I have like factory workers for animals.
Italy
That's not
sweatshop
beautiful.
in
That's
my
evil.
corner. I don't know, sunlight really does something to you. So what I've learned is from ancient times, like, I don't know, this is basically they just keep using the word harmonize over and over again. And I've never really seen that. When I think of harmonize, I think of music. So when they talk about energy, there is like a white lady pressing apart, like I press up against it and I'm like, let's chill out with the harmonizing. Like, what do we do? Like, I understand harmony and blah, blah, blah. But it was like too many. I feel like we're teaching people nothing because there's just too many layers. So there's like the Bagu, Bagua,
Bagua or something.
Bagua is the Feng Shui energy, and it's like this floor plan. So the Bagua translate to 8 areas, and each of them is a different life circumstance, such as like family, wealth, career, and then each of those corresponds to a shape, a color, a season, a number, and an earthly element.
Yeah, so I was like, no.
Yeah,
I tapped out so early.
I did. I was just like, what? And so then you're technically the 9th element. You're in the middle. So like the areas, this is what's even crazier, because I really do wish like we had more time, because the areas are wealth, makes sense. Fame, I was like, what? These Chinese people are crazy. Like, you're already like, you're just like, okay, Lady Gaga, like what? Partnership, family, Tai Chi, children, knowledge, career, helpful people. And I'll be honest, when I saw helpful people, I'm like, cool. Like, I've never seen that on there before in any kind of like, because we always, I think the Americanized version of these circumstances, remember they talk about it, what book I think we both read it, where they talk about the 4 burners. So there's like family,
Career, love,
career,
friendships,
something like that. Yeah. And then you can only have 2 burners on at the same time, so you're always sacrificing something. So if like career and love is going well, then your friendships and your, what was the other one,
family
are shitty. Or if your family is doing well and your career is doing well, then love and friendships are shit. Like, they always say you have to almost like, you can't have all 4 burners. And then the Chinese are like, oh, there's like 18 of these and they all have to be going at once, and you're a failure.
Yeah.
And you fucked up your home.
Yeah, I'm like a Harlem Globetrotter with all like, just, I don't, does that even make sense? Dun, 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 dun.
But it's like almost like every part of you is spinning something. But like, I literally just like gave up on notes, because I was like, this is so in depth. Like, I just want to pull up. So then you found like the basic principles, which even the basic principles, like, they simplified it, but I couldn't figure out if it was like white lady shit.
You couldn't look, Feng Shui 101 articles are hilarious, because like, all you have to know about Feng Shui is the 17 baguas. And then the 5 things you need to know about Feng Shui. 1, 17 baguas. 2.
It's so true though, because I was reading all those articles and I was like, whoa, this is insane.
I was like, give me practical tips. Yeah.
But then like, I found this one from the Spruce. I don't know what the fuck this is, what they do, who they are, but they were like, here's a checklist. So living room checklist. Use the 5 elements of color to decorate your living room based on the energies you would like to cultivate. Add green houseplants to invite more wellness, growth, and kindness. Configure the sofa and or chairs in a commanding position. They say commanding position so much that I'm like, did I miss something? Like, am I supposed to be
what is a commanding position?
I don't know.
I'm not facing a sofa like on a wall, like towards the wall. So
I just feel like it's aggressive. Like, is it commanding? Like, you walk in and you're like, whoa, sofa.
God damn. That sofa has told me to fuck off.
That sofa just told me to clean my room. It's crazy. I just don't, so I was like, did I miss something? Like, am I supposed to know what a commanding position is? But also like, and they say it over and over again, put your bed in a commanding position. But like, okay, dining room checklist. If the dining table is also used for other purposes, please be sure to clear it off before meals. Some of this sounds just like basic shit. Use the dining table for a meal on a regular basis to attract more friendships into your life. Now I feel like I'm reading like some kind of horoscope in the back of a newspaper. I'm like, okay. And then fresh flowers can can
How
be
is this even measured? Like if you like say I arranged my dining table to attract more friendships into my life. How do you measure that? You can't measure that because even if I did make a new friend, who knows if it has anything to do with my dining table?
Could you imagine you send him like a what do you call those, like a surveys after, and you're like, did you feel like my sofa was in a commanding position?
Yeah.
Also, is this friendship fully based on how I arranged my furniture? Please check yes.
I mean, because you pay
Maybe.
a woman a lot, a woman, I don't know, a man or a woman, anyone, you would pay anyone a lot of money to arrange your house in a feng shui fashion. And after reading this, they earned it. Like if you can decipher this shit, go for it. Like make your money. But I can't, if I'm like, I need feng shui, I just want to earn more money and make more friends. And then you arrange something, and then I happen to make a friend. I guess I would be like, it's because my dining table had a vase in the middle of it with a little bit of fire, like a
Yeah.
redness.
Yeah.
And that's why I have 14 new friends. And it has nothing to do with getting on Nextdoor and being like, does anyone want to hang out with me?
It's not anything I did. It's because of where my sofa is, and we all know that. I do think there's some like we've all been inside a home that feels claustrophobic, even when they have more space than us. Like I've been in someone's house that has astronomically more space and felt uncomfortable. So I'm not saying this doesn't have value or doesn't have real life principles, both in like even, okay, so a good example is you walk into my apartment, and when you look right, you can see into the room if the door is open. And so I had this big ass desk that I now moved into the living room, but she was like, it's so big that it affects your line of vision. So I think you should either have a small desk, which I am now sitting at, or even if you don't put a desk there, I think you need to move this desk. And it was disappointing because it was like a desk that I got for a while. I love it. I love that it's big. It's like a fucking, yeah, we're going to work. Like it's a fuck you. I take myself seriously about jokes desk. And this is more like I'm going to choose to work today desk. But she's right. Like I couldn't see it until I did what she told me to do. And I'm so glad
Wait, what did you do with the desk?
I just moved it to the living room.
Oh, so right. Yeah.
So when you would look, if you enter my apartment and you look this way into this room, it was just basically blocking the view. It was almost as big as the doorway. And now I have this little petite baby secretary desk that kind of.
Yeah, but all this stuff is just aesthetics. Like I agree with all of this. And I would pay somebody who like a lot of money to like help me figure out the aesthetics of my place. And if some of those principles are based on feng shui and it's because I need to like, I want to add a little more red into kind of a cool toned room, that's great. It's just where it's like, and this is how you'll make more money is where I'm like, I don't know about that, you know, but I guess I don't believe in it.
Well, I mean,
I believe in aesthetics, but yeah.
But I think that's what I've learned as an American, taking in other people's cultures. I've learned that I haven't even had a setup to, like, my brain is so logical and so fact-based. I know that sounds weird with everything that's going on in America, but it is a very much like scientific method, you prove it, that I've noticed with every topic we've talked about, like it's a feeling, or like even the fact, like in therapy, I struggle with it all the time where like, well, how do I know how to heal this? And it's just like, well, you don't heal it with your logical brain, you heal it with your heart and your emotions. And you're like, cool. How do I heal this?
Yeah, but like what's the practical steps I need to take? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've noticed in general that I have a big, with anything that we've done that isn't logic based or like step by step, this is how you do something, and there is a step by step, this is how you do something, but it's like, again, it's based on this unseeable thing. And again, that might be because I don't have a basis in religion and I don't believe in religion. So it's like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that sets me up to anything that isn't like, I'm just like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Like you just picked some colors and some rocks and told me to not put my bed in front of a door.
But I like all of that. I believe like it can work to help you feel good in a room. I don't discount how you might feel in a room. Where I kind of veer off from the principles are that what it can bring into your life if you arrange physically something in a certain way.
But if you fully believe that, if I believe that by having my bed over here, I will bring health into my life, isn't that
it goes back to what I always think about religion with like prayer. I don't necessarily believe in God or prayer, but I do believe if someone believes it, that's what helps. Like the positivity,
yes.
I mean, they've had studies that prove that prayer works, but I don't think it's because of God. I just think it's because it puts you in a mindset.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. This was like a hard one. I, for some reason, really thought this was going to be like, figured it out. And then I like moved something from one side and I'm like, Feng Shui. But like,
Yeah.
I know we didn't teach anybody anything, but I would like to know from people, like, is there any like Feng Shui principle that you know of? Because I feel like there's so many that everybody knows like one. Like I've always known, and I think I'm even going to butcher it. I've always kind of known that like the mirror has to like make sure it faces either like a window or a door so that the energy can
Oh
be.
yeah. That was one thing about researching this is I started looking at mirrors because I'm going to put a mirror on this wall so that it can reflect because I like the view out the window. I can just never see out the window because my bed's over here. So I was like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. And I opened up my
Yeah.
room a bit.
Yeah. So that mirror thing I've known since like high school or college, but that's it. Like I know one Feng Shui thing, but I feel like everybody knows like one like must do for a room. And I feel like we can put them all together and actually learn Feng Shui from everybody else.
Teach us Feng Shui. And you can
Teach
email
us.
us
Where can they email us, Maria?
at tunondoctors. That's the number 2 full word doctors at gmail.com. Yeah. Thanks
Tell us
for
about Feng
listening.
Shui. Bye, guys.
Bye.